Trust isn't something horses give easily. In the wild, trusting the wrong thing gets you killed. So, when a horse, a prey animal hardwired for survival, chooses to trust you, it's one of the most profound compliments you'll ever receive. But horses don't show trust the way we think they do. They're not going to walk up and tell you. Instead, they communicate through subtle behaviors that most riders completely overlook. So in this video, I'm breaking down 7 things your horse does that secretly mean I trust you, and some of these are going to surprise you, especially number 5. But before we dive in, you need to understand something about how horses think. Horses are prey animals. Their entire nervous system is built around one question: am I safe right now? In a herd, there's always at least one horse with their head up, scanning for danger while the others graze. That's not paranoia. That's survival. It's been hardwired into them for millions of years. But when a horse is with you, something shifts. If they trust you, their brain starts to categorize you differently. You're no longer a potential threat. You become part of their safety system. And that's when these 7 behaviors start to show up. The first sign is one of the most powerful, but it's also one of the most misunderstood. When your horse lowers their head below their withers, especially when they're standing still near you, that's a massive sign of trust. Here's why this matters. When a horse lowers their head, they're physically putting themselves in a vulnerable position. Their field of vision narrows. They can't see predators approaching from above or behind as easily. In the wild, this is dangerous. But there's also a physiological reason this is so significant. Research in equine neuroscience shows that when a horse lowers their head, it activates their parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the nervous system responsible for rest, digestion, and feeling safe. So when your horse drops their head around you, they're not just physically vulnerable, they're neurologically relaxed. Their body is literally saying, I don't need to be on high alert right now, I'm safe. Now, this is different from a horse that's been trained to lower their head on cue. I'm talking about the horse that chooses to do this on their own, without being asked. That's trust. The second sign is licking and chewing. You've probably seen this before. Your horse starts licking their lips, chewing even though there's no food in their mouth. A lot of people think this is just a random behavior, but it's not. Licking and chewing is a release behavior. It's what horses do when they're processing something and moving from a state of tension into a state of relaxation. Think about it like this. When you're stressed and you finally take a deep breath and your shoulders drop, that's the human equivalent. For horses, it's licking and chewing. But here's the key. They only do this when they feel safe enough to let go of that tension. In training, you'll often see this right after a horse figures something out, or after you release pressure. That's them saying, okay, I get it, I can relax now. But if your horse does this just from being around you, no training, no pressure, just standing together, that's them telling you, you make me feel calm. Now, this one might seem counterintuitive, but stay with me. When a horse turns their hindquarters toward you, that's actually a sign of trust. I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't that dangerous? Isn't that how horses kick? Yes, horses can kick. But here's the thing. A horse that doesn't trust you will never turn their back to you. And this is why. They'll keep you in their line of sight at all times because you're a potential threat. When a horse turns their hindquarters toward you, they're saying, I don't need to watch you. I know you're not going to hurt me. In a herd, horses do this with each other all the time. They'll stand tail to tail, each watching a different direction. It's a trust behavior. They're protecting each other. But there's a difference between a relaxed horse with their hindquarters toward you and a tense horse. You need to read the whole picture. If the horse's tail is clamped, their muscles are tight and their ears are pinned back. That's not trust, that's a warning. But if their body is soft, their tail is relaxed, maybe they're resting a hind leg, and they just happen to be angled away from you, that's trust. They're comfortable enough to not monitor your every move. Now, before we get to number 4, I want you to think about your own horse. Have you noticed any of these behaviors? Drop a comment below and let me know which one you see most often, or have you even noticed one at all? I'm curious to hear your experiences. Alright, let's keep going, because the next 4 are even more subtle. Number 4 is the sigh, or that big exhale through the nose. You know that sound. It's like a deep, rumbling breath, and sometimes their whole body softens when they do it. This is another parasympathetic nervous system response. When a horse sighs, they're releasing tension. They're letting go. In fact, studies on equine stress responses show that horses hold their breath or breathe shallowly when they're anxious. Deep, full breaths, especially those big sighs, indicate that they're moving out of a stress response and into a relaxed state. If your horse sighs when you're grooming them, or when you walk up to them in the pasture, or even when you're just standing together doing nothing, that's them saying, "I can let my guard down with you." It's one of the most honest forms of communication a horse can give you because it's involuntary. They can't fake a sigh. It's a direct window into their nervous system. Number 5 is huge, and this is the one I said would surprise you. If your horse lies down near you, or even just rests a hind leg and closes their eyes while you're around, that is one of the deepest signs of trust a horse can show. And here's why. Horses are flight animals. When they lie down, especially in full lateral recumbency, that's when they're flat out on their side, they are completely vulnerable. It takes them several seconds to get up and run if a predator appears. In the wild, horses only lie down for deep REM sleep when they know other herd members are standing guard. They take turns. It's a survival strategy. So if your horse lies down while you're in the stall or the pasture with them, they're treating you like a trusted herd member. They're saying, "I trust you to keep me safe while I'm vulnerable." But even if they don't lie down, just resting a hind leg and closing their eyes, that's still significant. Horses don't rest unless they feel safe. If your horse can fall asleep standing next to you, that's not boredom, that's trust. Number 6 is when your horse actively seeks you out. This one seems obvious, but let me explain why it's so meaningful. Horses are social animals, but they're also selective. In a herd, horses have preferred companions, buddies they choose to graze with, groom with, and stand with. Not every horse in the herd is treated equally. When your horse sees you coming and they walk toward you, not because you have food, but just because they're choosing you as a preferred companion. Now, I'm not talking about the horse that runs up because they know you have carrots in your pocket. I'm talking about the horse that sees you across the pasture and changes direction to come say hello. The horse that nickers when you arrive. The horse that follows you to the gate, even when you're not catching them. That's social bonding. That's them saying, "I like being near you." And in the world of horses, where every relationship is a choice, that's one of the highest compliments you can receive. And finally, number 7, they let you into their personal space without tension. Every horse has a bubble, a zone around their body where they're most sensitive to pressure and proximity. For some horses, that bubble is huge. For others, it's smaller. But it's always there. When a horse trusts you, that bubble shrinks. They let you stand close. They let you touch their face, their ears, their legs, places that are vulnerable and sensitive. But here's the thing. It's not just about letting you in. It's about how they feel when you're in. A horse that tolerates you in their space but is tense, ears flicking, muscles tight, eyes hard. That's not trust. That's tolerance. Maybe even learned helplessness. But a horse that softens when you step close, a horse whose eye gets quieter, whose breathing slows, whose head drops slightly, that's trust. They're not just allowing you in, they're welcoming you in. And that's the difference. So those are the 7 secret signs your horse trusts you. But here's what I want you to take away from this. Trust isn't something you demand from a horse. It's something you earn. And it's not earned through dominance or control. It's earned through consistency, patience, and understanding. Every time your horse lowers their head around you, every time they sigh, every time they choose to stand close, they're giving you a gift. They're saying, "I feel safe with you." And in a world where horses are constantly asked to override their instincts, to trust trailers, to trust saddles, to trust us sitting on their backs, that trust is sacred. So pay attention. Notice these moments. Honor them. Because the relationship you have with your horse isn't built in the big moments, it's built in the quiet ones. The ones where they lower their head, the ones where they sigh, the ones where they choose you. If you found this helpful, click the link below to check out more resources on understanding your horse's behavior and building a deeper connection. And if you want to keep learning, check out one of the videos on screen now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.